health headline that a lot of families are concerned about.
The numbers for kindergartners starting school fully vaccinated are dropping in Minnesota. Childhood immunization rates have gone down from more than 90% of kindergartners fully vaccinated before school in 2019 to 87% in 2024. Derek James asked a doctor some of your most pressing questions in today's Health Watch.
One more, last one.
She got 5 shots, including the polio, including the flu, including the pox.
At a recent visit to a Hennepin County clinic in Minneapolis, Kadir Ali made the decision to skip the MMR vaccine for his daughter.
I've heard a lot of news going around that if someone takes the MMR, get autistic.
Scientists and studies have made it clear that vaccines save lives and do not cause autism. But opinions about childhood vaccinations have become increasingly polarized, leaving many parents overwhelmed and unsure of who to trust, says Dr. Laura Al-Ajalat, a pediatrician with mHealth Fairview.
I've had more vaccine conversations with families throughout the 15 years, more in the past 3 years than I've ever had.
What are some of the questions that parents are asking about the science behind vaccines?
There's a lot of how are vaccines made? What are the preservatives in them? I think there's so much information and misinformation out there.
Post-COVID, there's been a rise of a few percentage points in families seeking to exempt their kids from required vaccinations. So many people have shunned the childhood shots that we've been unable to reach herd immunity.
Once we drop lower, it means that our children, the people who can't get vaccinated, or the infants who are still too young to get vaccinated, are at higher risk. And so then you start seeing more cases in the community.
Minnesota experienced that firsthand last year. Cases of whooping cough hit over 3,200, their highest level since 2012. The state also reported 70 measles cases, including an outbreak infecting students at a Minneapolis public school. For comparison, there were 0 measles cases reported in 2023. Dr. Al-Ajalat says being judgment-free and building trust with adults is the key to safeguarding children's health.
I always tell patients that I would never recommend anything to you that I wouldn't do for my own children.
In Blaine, Derek James, WCCO News.
So at the start of this school year, city data found that nearly 40% of Minneapolis public school children are behind on their childhood vaccines. mHealth Fairview provides vaccine-only appointments for families who are looking to get caught up. But this is obviously a talker out there, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, maybe with other parents you speak to. So we wanted to know how you feel about vaccines. Are you a fan? Do you have questions? Are you against them? You're making choices not to get your kids vaccinated. You can give us your feedback by scanning the QR code on your screen or on a computer. Head to WCCO.com/connect. Make sure you're voting on the 4 p.m. poll. And then we'll share what you think about this in just a moment. But we are going to pause and take a second to talk about this because it's become such a hot topic, especially amongst parents, Jeff.
And I think what's interesting is she spoke to it. It's really the past several years that it's ramped up, and maybe even more so than decades ago, because people are able to have these conversations with other parents through things online, books that have been written where maybe things were just standard at one point. You just did them. People are trying to make their own opinions or informed opinions and decisions. It's up to them, I guess.
It's important to remember that any idiot can put anything on the internet, and often I'm that idiot doing it. So the internet is not a good single source at all. But I think about all the other things that we do in our lives where we go to a specialist that are so much less important. Do you cut your own hair? No, you go to somebody who knows what they're doing. Do you go to your mechanic or do you fix your car yourself? Anything recently built, you're going to the expert.
We have an interesting statistic on measles as an example. So you need a 95% vaccination rate in order to reach herd immunity. We've been talking about measles in recent years popping up at schools, and it's just kind of interesting. Everyone has to get on board for these things to be effective, and you saw the numbers that Derek had before his story. In some cases, we're not near that.
There were a couple of measles outbreaks here in the Twin Cities area, not only just last year, but I remember when I first started at WCCO, it was around maybe 2018. So this has popped up again, and maybe it's kind of showing itself in that because people are hesitant, we're seeing the results of that.
And this is America, where we don't tell you what to do, or at least this country is sort of built on that. But at the same time, when somebody else's decision affects someone else who's not related to them, who maybe wouldn't have made that decision, that's where things get really tricky.
Can I tell you, Mitch McConnell, who's a conservative, obviously, who is a polio survivor, also, because polio vaccines have come back up with Senate confirmations recently. A quote from him I found interesting: "Efforts to undermine public confidence in proven cures are not just uninformed, they're dangerous." So that shows you some lawmakers are even taking a stance, talking about this, kind of grilling, you know, these potential cabinet members on where they stand on it. So it is a big topic right now in our country. And we want to know what you think. Did you play along in today's WCCO Connect? We wanted to know what you think. And 88% of you say yes, that you believe in vaccines. Some people, 5% of you say you have questions, and 7% are passing right now.
That almost reflects the numbers we would see in a way of Derek showing 87% of children in our area have their vaccinations. The other 13 do not.
And I think the open line of communication with your healthcare provider is kind of key here. People have so many questions. Ask your doctor.
Ask them for sure.